And a very good morning to you. This is the Talk of the Town. And our guest this morning is the happily retired Senior Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. W.A. Wijewardena. Now then, there's a lot of talk. Dr. Nandalal Weerasinghe, our dear Governor of the Central Bank, is talking about optimization and all sorts of jolly things. I don't really think the public understand this. What is this optimization? What's going on? Can you tell us the different terms and the effect?
Well,
and so on?
you are perfectly correct because public has been confused because in the case of the foreign debt, the term that we used was debt restructuring. What we mean by debt restructuring is both the debtor and the creditor will sit down at a table and negotiate with each other and disagree on a restructuring program. The ad hoc group of the international sovereign bond holders had suggested to government of Sri Lanka prior to the approval of the IMF bailout package on 20th of March, Sri Lanka government should reorganize its domestic debt. Now, reorganize means the government doesn't have to talk to the creditors. It can just reorganize and make the announcement, okay, from this day onward, this is how you will be repaid. Sri Lankan authorities have not, used either term. Instead, addressing the bilateral creditors of Sri Lanka on 30th of March, Governor Nandalal Weerasinghe and the Treasury Secretary Wijewardena, they have used the term called optimization. Now, optimization means for us, if there is a profit, you have to get the highest profit.
Right.
If there's a loss, you have to minimize the loss. Now, in the case of the domestic debt, since it is a loss, what the government had suggested to the bondholders and treasury bill holders is that you have to now minimize your loss. Now, this is a big problem, minimization of the loss. But in the case of the debt owed by the government to the central bank, about some 3 trillion Sri Lanka rupees.
Yeah.
In the new Central Bank Act, there's a provision that that particular debt will be converted to a negotiable 10-year bond. And that will be given to central bank so that the government will not have to repay every time a treasury bill matures to central. So it will be a term lending given by the government, central bank to the government. So that what it means is that in the case of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, for us, it gets this interest revenue by lending to government and all the central bank's domestic expenses like payment of salaries and meeting all other administrative expenses, about 20 billion Sri Lanka rupees per annum.
Wow.
Have to be met out of this interest income. If the central bank doesn't get this interest income, of course, central bank also will have to tighten its belt. Doesn't earn anything from the foreign part because we have a negative foreign exchange reserve position in the central bank. So we don't earn anything in the foreign sector. If we are denied of the continuous inflow of revenue to central bank because the treasury bills and the other lending which central bank has given to government are being transferred to a 10-year negotiable bond, then central bank will have to make a very hard choice. Same thing will happen to all others also because minimizing the losses instead of losing everything, you decide, to accept a certain amount, maybe 30% or 40% of interest or instead of getting the full amount because everyone is concerned about for us to preserve the value of the principal amount that they have lent. For example, EPF people, the Employees Provident Fund cannot make in terms of the act itself any loss. Because their investment strategy should be zero loss investment strategy. So it might lose a part of the interest income. So instead of, getting 30% from the government, it might say, okay, give us only 10%. So that's called voluntary optimization.
Well, will there be much impact on the public during these New Year celebrations? I don't know how people are going to celebrate, but, celebrate they must, I suppose.
Well, these things will not affect them, but of course, we'll have to keep in our mind that Sri Lanka's cost of living has actually nearly doubled. For example, the Colombo Consumers Price Index, which is being calculated by the Department of Census and Statistics, is now based on a new series, assuming that January 2021, the price level was 100. Now, this has gone up to 195 as at the end of March. And there is a particular basket of goods and services for us, which includes in this particular calculation. In January 2021, a typical family of say 3.8 had to spend 91,880 rupees to buy that basket. In March this year, they had to spend 179,000 rupees to buy the same basket. As a result, their purchasing power is totally lost. So therefore, celebration is, should be at a very low level.
Dr. W.A. Wijewardena, thank you very much for your time on the Talk of the Town. It's now back to the Morning Fix with Dom and Asanka. Thank you.